Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, or just welcome if you're new. My name is Eboni Harris and I'm a relationship therapist based in Houston, Texas. Today is a get ready with me. I have some video content I need to record for my course, and so I will be doing a get ready with me while I put on makeup and talk about a topic. Today we're going to be talking about ultimatums, not the show The Ultimatum, which I did see, it was a mess, but actual ultimatums in relationships, just because I feel like, you know, I always hear, oh, they gave me an ultimatum, they gave me an ultimatum. I don't do ultimatums, and I am of the belief that ultimatums are good if you do it the right way. So I am going to share my thoughts around ultimatums as I put my makeup on, my thoughts on boundaries and how they relate to ultimatums. And hopefully this is a conversation that you enjoy. If so, feel free to like, share, subscribe. Please do those things. Please subscribe, please like, because it does really help me get seen by other people. So thanks for watching. Let me continue. I don't know why I said thanks for watching. So continue if you want to talk and hear more about how to use ultimatums in the right way in relationships. So I wanted to start, and if you've ever watched me make a video, you know, this is not what they say, this is not my bag. I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but this isn't like my forte. I am not the best at talking, which is weird because I feel like I multitask very well, but I think my brain sometimes just does not compute with doing this and talking about a topic, especially a serious topic. Like if I'm just like ranting about something, so easy, I could do that all day. But when I'm trying to like stay on track and give points and all of that, sometimes I struggle. But so I wanted to start with just a brief definition of an ultimatum, because, and I feel like I always start with like definitions anytime I'm doing anything, but I think the reason why is because I feel like when we give ultimatums, the same as boundaries, we use them in the same light where we're trying to manipulate behavior. And that's why people have a struggle or struggle with the idea of like someone giving them an ultimatum. So an ultimatum is a final demand or statement of terms, the rejection of which will result in retaliation or a breakdown in relations, right? And as we're on it, let me talk about the definition of a boundary. So a boundary is a personal limit, a line in the sand, this is where this behavior, this thing has to stop, which to me is about the same. The problem that people have with ultimatums is that ultimatums typically feel like a threat or an attempt to control, right? And so that completely is true, could be true, but I guess to me, I'll kind of lump them into the same thing if you're using it correctly. So the reason why people struggle when we talk about ultimatums and they feel like, oh, this is a bad thing, is because it's rarely used as the line that it's supposed to be, right? So in the first definition, it said if it's rejected, then it results in either retaliation or end of relations. And the problem is most people move straight into the retaliation piece versus deciding, hey, this was important to me, you couldn't meet this, so I'm done. So of course I couldn't do this topic, even though this is something I've talked about a lot, but now that they have this show called The Ultimatum, which is hilarious to me, I want to be clear on how that is an ultimatum, right? That is and again, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I struggle with the show because of the age of the contestants, the maturity level of a lot of the cast, and the reasons behind why they wanted the thing that they wanted, because it just felt very flimsy to me when we're talking about like deeper relationships and connection and why you're with someone and all of that. So, but that's neither here nor there, but that is a definition of an ultimatum, especially in the fact of like, they have put their partners on a TV show to force them to make a decision. And then if they don't make the decision that they want, like, what is the result of that? What does that feel like for you? So I feel like there's still a little bit of like punishment and retaliation in even bringing your partner on a show. But in the end, if your partner says no and you choose to end and walk away, then it can also be considered a boundary. The reason why people don't like ultimatums is because it feels like manipulation. It feels like control. It feels like an attempt to force someone to do something that they have no intention of doing, that they don't want to do. And you're saying, if you don't do this, I'm going to leave. If you don't do that, I'm going to get back at you, right? So the question then ultimately becomes, is there a difference between an ultimatum and a boundary? And the biggest difference is a boundary is more about you, where an ultimatum can feel like it's more about controlling the other person's behavior or forcing them to do something. And so the reason why I say I don't mind ultimatums, I like them, but that's only if you're basically using it in the same way that you would use a boundary, right? It's not okay to use it to try to control, manipulate, and change someone else's behavior. So an example of a boundary is if you're upset with me and we're on the phone, I'm not okay with you hanging up in my face, right? So if we are talking and you get upset, tell me to get the phone. Now, if they tell me they need to get the phone, but I keep trying to keep the conversation going and they hang up, I have to be responsible for the fact that they let me know they did what I asked them to do, and they did what they need to do for themselves, but they let me know what they needed, and they said, I'm going to get the phone because this is getting unhealthy, and they got the phone even if I kept trying to talk. An ultimatum would be, the next time you hang up on me, I'm not talking to you for 2 weeks. Or the next time you hang up, if we're fighting, you need to stay on the phone. And if you don't stay on the phone, then we're breaking up, right? And the reality is, while obviously there's nuance, obviously every relationship and situation is different, you cannot force someone to do something that puts them in a bad situation or that they just don't feel okay with doing, right? And I think the hardest part is determining and deciding what is okay for me to ask for and what's not okay for me to ask for, right? So while it's a perfectly healthy boundary to say, hey, if we are talking, do not hang up on me without saying, I gotta go. Do not walk away from me without saying anything like that. Because what you're saying is, this is how I want to be treated, right? That's what you're saying. This is how I want to be treated. And so it's okay for you to say that. And they could also very well say, nope, when I'm on your phone, I'm hanging up. I ain't saying nothing to you. I want to say bye. I want to say whatever. Cool. Now we need to walk away. Or now, okay, well, we can't talk on the phone anymore because you don't know, like, the etiquette that I need for phone conversations you don't have. So we have to limit that, whatever the case may be. So it can be very difficult to understand and see the difference of an ultimatum versus a boundary, because I do feel like they're pretty similar, but the struggle that people have is when it feels like the ultimatum is trying to control the behavior or change the behavior of someone else versus just setting personal boundaries and limits on, this is what I'm okay with and this is not what I'm okay with. And I think that goes with what's the response if the person doesn't do what you ask them to do, right? If you don't do what I ask you to do, then I'm retaliating, then I'm getting back to you, and I'm getting back at you so you can feel how I feel. Or I'm end the relationship, or I'm gonna stop communication or punish you in some way, right? That kind of moves more into ultimatums. Okay, and I think it's important to acknowledge that ultimatums typically come from a place of trying to force someone to change to fit what you need versus being clear around like the discomfort you may have, right? So again, with the hanging up on the phone thing, I feel extremely uncomfortable. I feel extremely hurt. I feel confused and don't know the state of the relationship when you just hang up in my face without saying anything to me. So that is not something that I'm okay with. I need some type of communication around, if you're going to get off the phone versus if you ever hang up on me again, I'm done, right? And so it can be muddled, which is why I am pretty much okay with ultimatums. I feel like if you learn how to use them as a boundary, then you're good to go. So the bottom line is, when it comes to ultimatums, they are healthy when you are able to use them basically as a boundary. I mean, that's the bottom line. And that's why when people talk about ultimatums, I'm always asking, what's the motivation? What's behind it? What are you saying? And are you really being true to what you're saying, right? If it's coming from a place of anger and reaction, and I just want to you shouldn't be allowed to do that, then that's not okay. But if it's coming from a place of this makes me uncomfortable, I'm clear on why it makes me uncomfortable, I'm clear that this doesn't feel acceptable to me as the type of behavior I want from a partner, then perfectly fine. Use it as a boundary. Let them know, this is how I feel, this is where I'm at, and this is why I can no longer deal with this behavior again. So I hope that gives some clarity. Again, if you still want to say ultimatums are bad, that's fine. You can say ultimatums are bad. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all the things. It really does help me. And I hope to see you next time. That's all. Bye.